Laziali all over the world, welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. I never thought I would say something like that, but Lazio won against Juventus and Toma Basic scored the decisive goal. I'm really, I would never have thought, Alasdair, that I would say something like that, right? Toma Basic scoring is already difficult to predict, but scoring the winning goal against Juventus, what a night! Incredible, right?
It's like we've been transported into a parallel universe.
Yeah.
I just, I just find this so hard to wrap my brain around what has happened in the last month because, as Sarri alluded to, actually after the game, it it took a crisis to get this team to kind of find itself. Um, Starting with that midfield crisis after the derby that saw Basic come in, but then obviously all these injury problems we've had. It's been very unusual, a number of them. The key players like Ravella, Tati, Tavares, Cancellieri, all missing last night. But in that period, the team has started playing like a team, and we're finally seeing kind of like a version of Lazio, I guess we can recognize under Sarri. And last night, for sure, was the biggest moment of the season so far, and can actually give us encouragement that is going in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, Juventus were probably one of the best team we played against at the Stadio Olimpico. They were coming after big moment, right? Losing against Real Madrid was tough. And Alasdair, we have breaking news because Igor Tudor has been sacked, right? So this has been we can see it coming, right? But against Lazio, it's not that bad, right? Tudor uh, was our manager for a couple of weeks, and I was never convinced he was the right person for Juventus. And was it too harsh to sack him after that game? I mean, Lazio deserved to win, but we didn't do that much, right? Probably a draw. If I mean, he gets sacked because Vlahovic is rubbish, pretty much.
He's he's not getting sacked because of last night, though, is he? He's getting sacked because they've gone 8 games without a win. They haven't scored a goal in their last 4. Like the form they're on at the moment is approaching their worst run since the 1950s. So that's why he's been sacked. I thought they might have kept him a little bit longer just because they've got a couple of easy games coming up. But anyway, yeah, it is what it is. And I said before the match when we did our podcast last week, we're catching them at a good time. But I said that with a deep fear inside me, as always, that I'm going to go and jinx it again, and you're going to tell me it's my fault again. But yeah, I mean, look, this is a Juve team. Is probably one of the only teams in the league that's having more problem scoring goals than we have been from our strikers this season. But yeah, it was always going to be this kind of tight game. 1-0 doesn't surprise me. I predicted 0-0 before the game. But yeah, look, it's a brilliant win for Lazio because I think it's a blueprint of certainly how we can play in big games. I'm not really sure how we're going to, transport this style into playing weaker opposition. I'm not really sure how sustainable it is to create so little and try and win matches. But look, I think we should go back to where we started here because Toma Basic is the big story to come from this, right? And we've already been talking about him for the last 3 weeks since his comeback. But the fact he scored the winning goal, he got the Man of the Match award. There's banners up in the crowd of his name. It's just it's this remarkable comeback story. I think it's one of the best stories of the season in the league, this comeback, because it's not just that he's fought his way back after, being basically up for sale for 2 years, but he's been our best player probably in that period, hasn't he?
Imagine 1 month ago he was standing close to you in the stands, and now he's playing and man of the match. So I mean, you could be the next one. right? You could be the one coming in, and I, I mean, you can see it both way, the positive way and the negative way. The negative is definitely this is having a terrible impression for Delebashir, right? I mean, this guy hasn't played a minute in the last 2 years, comes in and starts all of the 4 games, and maybe not in the first one, but he's definitely the best in the last three. So incredible. A little bit of luck because the ball yesterday was deflected. Otherwise, Perin would have stopped it easily. But you know, you need a little bit of luck. He was close last Sunday with that free kick against Atalanta. So you could see that he's trying. He feels much comfortable. I don't know. It's like, you know, when you have a second chance, you have nothing to lose. And he's giving everything. Again, he's not Milinkovic Savic, and he will never be. But, you know, with our midfield, I think he definitely can have the opportunity. And he's showing that he's doing everything. I think in the first half, he had a couple of chances, long balls. He's not that fast, so you could see that he's struggling in that way. But other thing, he's very good. So
yeah, I mean, you say you need a bit of luck with the goal and the deflection and so on. It's true, but he's getting himself in those positions. And look, how many times have we complained that our midfield isn't getting us enough goals? Guendouzi doesn't score goals. Ravella doesn't score goals. Basic is by far the central midfielder who's kind of popping up the most in that final third area and getting himself into those positions. I don't think we can rely on him, scoring 10 goals this season or anything like that. But he is actually linking up the midfield to the attack better than anyone else has, I think. Honestly, that's what's really impressing me the most. He's involved in a lot of those kind of triangle passing moves down the side to actually set players off, set up attacks, link the play, and there he was at the edge of the box to profit on that error from Jonathan David, and to make sure that the ball's at least heading in the right direction. So if it does take a nick, it goes in the right place. So I think he's doing a lot more in that sense than Delebashir did, because we just weren't seeing any of that from Delebashir. It was supposed to be the one thing in his favor, I guess, was that he's a more attacking player who's being asked to play in a more defensive role. But he almost forgot how to attack as a result. So I think Basic is now nailed on for me as the starting left Mezzala in this 4-3-3. I don't think that anyone else deserves to be there ahead of him. I know, okay, there's issues with the squad list and who goes in and out, but forgetting all of that, forgetting injuries, if everyone's fit, everyone's available, I still think Basic has to start at the moment. Basic, Guendouzi, Ravella, because that's our best midfield in form.
Yeah, and fans loves him, Alasdair. I don't know if you... Let's see if we can...
It's amazing.
I mean, this is terrific, right? It's incredible.
And when he was substituted, he got a standing ovation as well.
Absolutely. Fans loves him because he gave everything, right? This is what you want from a player. We don't have Milinkovic Savic or Luis Alberto anymore. We need everyone to give everything they have. And, one other thing of Delebashir or, for example, Nuno Tavares is that they look like they are there. Yeah, well, we have to play. Let's play football. Fans notice this, right? Basic, again, I repeat, is not Milinkovic Savic, but he gave everything on the pitch. And you could see in the second half, he was struggling a lot. Now, I hope he didn't pick up an injury, because he's been playing in the last 4 weeks more than he played in the last 2 years, by far. So, but, we love that type of players. And we are happy he scored. He deserved it. But that's what we want, right, from this team. And we saw it yesterday. We saw a team fighting from Provedel to the last player coming, Lazzari had a very good game yesterday. And how many concerns do we have about Lazzari defending? I mean, luckily enough, Tudor didn't play Ildiz from the start. But can you imagine Ildiz against Lazzari all game long? I mean, he played really well yesterday. And everybody, I mean, for me, Dia was the worst player on the pitch for us. But he still tried, right?
Yeah, and you can see how much it means to Basic as well. I mean, the kind of sweetest thing I think I saw was when he got given the man of the match award, and then there's this moment where he was like almost a child, and he just started like running around with it, celebrating the fact that he, and he had the trophy in his hand, and he's just like jumping up and down, shouting, and he's like. Yeah, it's like he's completely reborn because even when he was playing regularly before, you didn't get quite this sense from him that this is like, he is spitting blood for this team. He'll do everything. And it's almost cliched, but it's such a trait with Lazio fans. The fan favorite players will be these guys. Like, that's why Caicedo became a fan favorite. That's why Patrick became a fan favorite. It's not really about your actual ability. It's about the fact that you're throwing your heart and soul into this, and it means everything to you in the way that it does to us as fans. And we're seeing that from Basic now. And it's not just to do with the comeback. I think he's just genuinely taking that approach anyway. And it's amazing hearing him afterwards not really wanting to talk about it. He's kind of saying, it's really about the team. I just had to wait for my chance. I always had a feeling like my moment would come. It's like, how did you? We didn't have that feeling. Like 2 years, you felt like your moment would come. I mean, fair play to the guy, because this is we can't forget as well that he's been at Lazio between the ages of 24 and 28. He's been here in the most important years of his career, you could argue, and he spent most of that time either sitting on the bench or not even being in the squad. So incredible story, really.
Yeah, and as well, he has the opportunity to say, Baroni was a disaster. He didn't give me an opportunity. He's a terrible manager. He didn't take nothing wrong, which is incredible. After 2 years like that, he's been great. He's, really a nice person. And it looks like the other players simply loves him. They are so happy for him that, makes you feel what type of person he is. So I'm really happy for him.
You're right. He's not shoving it in anyone's face, is he? Because that could be a reaction some players would have, is like, I'm proving you wrong by, but he's not doing that. It's all kind of positivity.
But this leads me to the next question, Alasdair. Toma Basic contract is expiring in June. So, renew contract or let him go?
5-year deal on 12 million euros a season, surely.
Seriously.
They have to give him a new deal. If he becomes Lazio's starting central midfielder and he's playing this way, you can't let him go for free. I mean, the thing is, it's a difficult one because how does he know that the same thing won't happen again? Like, he would want some sort of guarantees that, he's going to be playing. And if he doesn't, imagine if he slipped out of favor once again. He doesn't want to feel like he's wasting time at this club. So, yeah, I can understand why it's a little bit of a tricky one. To be honest, I can sense that Sarri will want to change the midfield next summer anyway. I can't imagine us going into another season if we have a full summer transfer window with the same lineup of central midfielders that we've got now. So that's another thing to take into consideration. But it's hard to argue that he wouldn't deserve being offered something, whether he takes it or not, because he's playing great football.
We have to open our cast and crowd point of the podcast. We need to talk about Gustav Isaksen. For me, man of the match yesterday.
More than Basic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really good. And I think he did all the stuff that we've accused him of not doing recently, which is that he was brave. He was trying to do what he's best at, which is taking players on, stressing defenders instead of playing the safe option all the time. He was using his pace, his trickery. He was winning fouls, buying yellow cards, that kind of thing, and yet causing real issues to Juventus on that side. We said with Cancellieri's injury, he has to do what Cancellieri has already done, which is seize this opportunity while it's in front of him. And that performance is a great start to doing that. By far his best performance of the season, probably his best since that flurry of good form at the start of the year.
Yeah, when you score against
Shame
Napoli
that chance
twice.
at the end didn't go in, because it would have been a lovely goal. But I've still not seen the reverse angle of that to know how close it actually was, because from where I was sitting, which was the ball kind of coming towards me, it looked really close, but I don't know if from another angle it would be 2 meters wide or not.
I didn't see if it was deflected because he was so upset he didn't get the corner kick.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he starts scoring, he would be terrific. But he's, for me, the most talented player we have at the moment. He pretty much won every 1-against-1 yesterday, and he was playing against Juventus. He created so many opportunities, so much trouble to Juventus defense, which, it's not the old Juventus defense, Barzagli, Chiellini, etc. But it's still Juventus. I mean, and I think that Isaksen is not at his top form yet. And you can see it in the second half. He was subbed because I think he couldn't handle it anymore. He was destroyed. But, even the second half, he created a lot of chances, a lot of opportunity. He needs to finish them. But especially seeing how Zaccagni played yesterday, I think Isaksen is too important for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge now is to stay at that level, isn't it? Because we've seen good games from Isaksen, but we apart from that patch last season, we've rarely seen like consistent good performances. But it's important. We've said it time and again, but it's so important that Lazio do start getting goals from their wingers, and the whole team really, but particularly the wingers, to support. Dia's not going to score goals. He's not a number 9. He's working really hard for the team. He's helping link things up to create space for others, but he's not going to be the guy who's in the box finishing chances for us, is he? So that's the one criticism we could still have of Isaksen, is that he's not scoring nearly enough goals in a Lazio shirt. And I don't really know how we get that to happen, but yeah, it's I don't know how many goals he scored for Lazio. It can't be many. I mean, maybe like 5 or 6. I would guess there was that incredible goal against Napoli last year, but are you looking this up?
No, can I start my usually Tijani Noslin rant? I mean, in the second half, I was there. We start playing long balls in the second half, right? We were looking for Isaksen. I thought, if we take off Dia and play Noslin there and start keeping playing these long balls, he surely must be more dangerous than Dia, right? He's faster, he's quicker. We can really create mismatch there because, Juventus defender are big but not that very fast. So 1-on-1 against Noslin, it's dangerous. That's the only thing I complain about yesterday. I thought if you bring in Noslin earlier and playing with Isaksen on one side, Zaccagni on the other, and Noslin centrally, I think we can finish off that game, right? And I understand that Isaksen hasn't got the 90 minutes and you wanted to keep Noslin for subbing Isaksen, which happened in the end. But you can start Noslin as a number 9 and then move it on the right side. I thought, that could be our option. We have to work out a little bit, Alasdair, when we are struggling like we did in the second half. Instead of kicking that ball out, maybe trying to move forward a little bit on the pitch. Otherwise, we concede immediately the ball to Juventus and we don't move up and we we are in a difficult position, right?
Yeah, and you can maybe get away with that against a Juve team that can't score any goals, but against better opposition, I don't think they will. It was funny because there was a period in the second half where I thought they were actually playing a pretty smart game, because we know this Sarri's Lazio they're not that bothered about possession. But they were counter-attacking pretty well, I thought,
Yeah.
and being quite smart about that. It's fine to soak up the pressure as long as you then commit numbers to counter-attacking when you have the chances. But then you're right, in that final period of the game, for sure, they weren't doing that. They were just handing the ball back over and over again, and had to soak up the pressure. But then again, they do that really well. I think they felt quite comfortable doing that as well.
Gila had a very good game, I thought, yesterday.
Provedel and Gila, again, we just spoke about them both after the Atalanta match. The two best performers, probably. And then again, I thought, look, Gila's doing this. Speaking about you're spitting blood for the team thing. I don't know what's happened to him in the last 2 weeks, but he's so fired up now. And I don't know where that's been, or if he just feels like he needs to show it more now, or what it is, but he's got that kind of warrior spirit back, doesn't he? Where he's kind of like trying to wind up the opposition, and he's a funny one in the stadium. In particular, where obviously you're not having to follow what the camera's showing you. I always enjoy just watching Gila and the way he kind of annoys whoever he's marking off the ball. He's always doing little things. And him and Weston McKennie in the box, he's just getting so annoyed with him, because it's all these little tugs and nudges and pushes and stuff here and there. And I appreciate that from a centre back, the kind of the dark arts going on off the ball. I just looked this up, by the way. Isaacson scored 9 goals in 90 games for Lazio. Wow. So a goal every 10 matches.
Not great.
Isn't good enough. Is it?
Anyway.
Yeah.
Gila listened to our podcast 2 weeks ago and had to show up, right? That's why he's improved so much.
He knows I had him down for player of the season, so he's like, I need to do this for Alasdair.
Absolutely.
I have to do this for Alasdair.
Talking about Alasdair, clean sheet, second clean sheet again. Do you know last year, after 8 games, how many goals did we concede with Baroni?
50.
After 8 games, we were 7th, and we conceded 12 goals. 12 after 7 games, and we scored 14. You know now how many goals did we concede? 7.
7.
So nearly half of last year's goal conceded. This tells you a lot, right? Second clean sheet. We start winning 1-0, and I thought this is very good. Are you taking notes? Huh? You're writing an article about that.
I'm looking at the Serie A table, actually.
So, I mean, Sarri, with the same players, because they are the same players, find a way to improve our defense. We are not conceding any more stupid goals like we did last year. I mean, we reduced to 7 goals. So
but then that's like also, it's almost a bit of a fake number in itself, because when you do look at the table, like, it's not actually standing. Parma have conceded 7 goals, for example. Like, Como have a better defensive record. But when you think about the fact that wild Torino game accounts for 3 of them, that gives you a more accurate depiction of where we're at, probably, because I don't really know what happened in that match, but it's such an outlier, both in terms of conceding 3, but also scoring 3 isn't something Lazio. I mean, okay, we managed to do that in Genoa against Verona, but I thought it was interesting, this comment Sarri made about, the short blanket thing of basically when you're trying to be solid defensively, you're struggling to create anything in attack, but then you switch it around and try to create more in attack, and you're letting too much away defensively. And I think that's kind of what we've been saying all season long, and maybe that's what that Torino game is, if that's how he's seeing it.
Yeah, the funny thing is, last year we scored only 14 goals, and this year we are at 11. So we're not scoring that fewer goal compared to last year, right? It's true. You mentioned the Torino game. Obviously, we scored 3 games there. We scored 4 against Verona, but I think we are improving, right? We are finding a new solution to win games, and I think there are signs of progress. Obviously, the quality is not amazing, but I think this team is finding ways, and maybe this crisis, this injury crisis we had, helped us, right? We took Basic out of the shelf, and he helped us, and we're finding new solution to win games.
Yeah, I think coming out from the international break, the team has really kind of found its togetherness, its team spirit, certainly its defensive solidity again with these back-to-back clean sheets. 4 points from Atalanta and Juventus is more than we ever would have predicted, probably, and that's really promising. But I do think it'll be really interesting to see now. We go to Pisa on Thursday, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And look, this is a Pisa team that hasn't won a game yet this season. That's one of the favourites to go down again. So they're going to have to play differently, because I think the way they played in the last 2 games is almost the perfect way for this Lazio team to play against top opposition. But I don't think they can go and play that way against Pisa necessarily. It'll be interesting to see if there's any tweaks or to the approach at all.
But Pisa drew against Milan, and they were close to win in that game. So, this tells you it's never easy to win a game in Serie A. Not because the level is so high, I think because the level is so low that the bottom team is so close to beat the top one. And we saw it. I was surprised, honestly, to see Pisa winning at Milan against AC Milan. But, this is Serie A level, so we have to be very careful. And I agree with what you were saying. We are very good when we have space, when we can run with the ball. So I don't think Pisa will make that mistake. I think, obviously, a little bit like what Roma does. If we score at the beginning of the game, then it's a different type of game, and we can find solution. We can become very dangerous. But if we don't score at the beginning, then it's an issue there.
Yeah, and I don't think the injury list is clearing anytime soon. I think we're stuck with the absences we've got for a while longer. I don't know. I mean, do you think that Noslin will actually get a shot up front, or do you think Dia is doing exactly what Sarri's telling him to do? That's the thing. I mean, Sarri isn't being critical of Dia because he's kind of backing him that he can play as a 9, but he's also saying, he is having to sacrifice himself for the team. And he's got a point, because Dia's dropping into all those spaces all the time. And he needs to, because when we're, like you were saying just now, when we're under pressure and we're on the ball, you need someone to be that option to actually, hold the ball. And if he's not there, there's no one there. So we don't have a number 10 playing in this team, which means that he's basically the only option. So unless our wingers are going to start coming inside a lot more, Dia's basically the only person who's able to fulfill that role and try and tie things together. So I think people are used to thinking about Ciro Immobile and having this striker who lives on the shoulder of the last defender and is always trying to make these runs in behind and be very direct and aggressive in the way he attacks. That's not what Dia's going to do. But that doesn't mean he's not doing important work for the team. I just think if that's how he wants our striker to play, we have to find other ways to score goals. That's the
problem. And that's the problem, because our midfielders don't score that many goals. Now we have to see if Toma Basic become a top scorer, but we need someone scoring. And I don't want to go back to Zaccagni, but again, yesterday, I was hoping something better from him. I don't know what happened this year. He hasn't been playing great, and I thought it was. I was hoping it was the injury, but he's back and nothing happened. Nothing changed. So it depends. Against Pisa, I think we won't have that much space. So Dia doesn't need to track back like he did against Juventus. I don't think Pisa would close us in our half. I think Pisa will wait for us in their midfield and hope to have opportunity. So I'm curious to see. I'm not sure it could be the right game for Noslin, but who knows? Maybe Pedro. What's your take on Pedro uh, starting as a number 9?
Is he calling you to ask?
Yeah.
Well, I find it hard to see that. I mean, we've been down this road before, haven't we? Talking about the possibility of that. I mean, I remember what must have been 2 or 3 years ago now, thinking that seemed like the obvious option, but then instead it went with Felipe Anderson, who actually did a pretty good job there. So I'm not sure Sarri really sees him there. I think he can play as a 10 or in either wing pretty comfortably. I don't see why he couldn't play as a 9, but it just would be a very different kind of player to be putting in that role. The problem is, if Sarri really doesn't see Noslin as being a number 9, then we've run out of options because there's nobody else left. Certainly I think Dia will continue to start, but certainly to come on for Dia or to change a game slightly. If we find ourselves 1-0 down against Pisa and there's 20 minutes left, we're going to have to do something. And the question is, what is that thing? Because also we can't really be a team like Juve were last night. They were wanting throw balls in the box. They've got 2 big strikers on the pitch. Yildiz hanging around the edge of the area, that kind of thing. We don't really have that option. I don't really see us being having the route 1 option available to us quite so much. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure how we're going to go about this one.
Well, I think the only opportunity is to move the ball fast on the ground and hope to have Windows 101 in the central, because we don't have Tati Castellanos now. I don't know how good Dia is with the headers and things like that. So we're going to be struggling if we need to put those long balls in the box like Juventus tried. By the way, what happened to Vlahovic? 3 years ago, he was a very good striker. Now he's been terrible, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's unrecognizable, really. He's such a weird player because he's one of these guys that when he's at his best, you're like, oh my God, this guy is unstoppable. He looks like one of those proper like Didier Drogba forces of nature sometimes where there's no stopping him. And then that will happen maybe once in every, 10 games or something like that. But yeah, you can understand why Juve fans are frustrated. He's by far the best paid player in the league as well. And yeah, just not happening for him. But yeah, good for us. Good for the defense. We continue to have these issues of changing the fullbacks in every match. Maricic was having to start left back last night, despite supposedly having a fever in the week. And Pellegrini's just coming back from an injury who had to come on. And, Lazzari had got that yellow card. And then I was thinking, oh my God, we've still got like a half of football to get through. But yeah, like you said, I think those kind of, quiet players deserve credit for a result like this too. Danilo Cataldi deserves a lot of credit. I thought he put in a really good performance defensively as well as on the ball. So yeah, I mean, I think people are buying into it, and that's the most positive thing. Is you can see an identity to this team. You can see that people are kind of pulling in the same direction a bit more. It was pretty confusing at the start of the season trying to work out what Lazio were wanting to be. And I think we can see now that Sarri is trying to go back to where he was in that second season, build off a defensive foundation and see where that takes us. We don't have the individuals, the attacking individuals to light up games and win them with moments. But if we're not conceding goals, then we're not going to be losing games, and it'll always give us a chance. So maybe that's just what we're going to have to live with this season. It might not be sexy, it might not be exciting, but it might get us a decent position in the table ultimately.
Well, I mean, we are seeing other teams doing the same, right? Roma, how many games have won 1-0? And even Milan is struggling scoring 1 goal and winning the game. So, and I mean, 1-0 with Basic scoring, and I mean, what do you want more, right?
Exactly. And this is a weirdly, omnipresent theme in Serie A this season. Like, Juventus can't score goals. Atalanta have had problems getting the strikers scoring goals. When Højlund's not available, Napoli are struggling to get the strikers scoring goals. Roma's Ferguson and Dovbyk is a whole ongoing thing. They can't score any goals. And then Lazio and Juve. So there is some weird striker curse going on this season in Serie A where Moise Kean isn't scoring anymore. Like, number 9s just are not having any success really this season in Serie A. Same thing at Milan, with Santiago Jimenez and so on, because Leao is not a number 9 in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing. It's not just us, thankfully, who are having this problem.
You know who's scoring? We should try him number 9 next week against Pisa. I can see him scoring again.
Oh, imagine.
I mean, this looks like a fairy tale, right? 1 month ago, he was out of everything, not even consider, and now he's scoring decisive goal against Juventus. Is football sometimes is amazing. It's incredible.
That the ringtone on your phone now.
Not yet. It could be an option, though. I'm thinking about it. But I mean, the table is still not great, Alasdair. We need to win next Thursday against Pisa, which you're talking about tactic point of view. I'm concerned even about the condition of our players, because we played Sunday night, we're playing Thursday night. We have players like Pellegrini who trained like 2 days last week. Maruzic trained a little because he had fever. Isaacsen played the first time 90 minutes, so from the start. Basic had played 4 games in a row after 2 years of not playing. I mean, we don't have to see only the tactical point of view. We have to see even who's going to be fit, who's going to be ready for that game next Thursday. And we don't have that many options on the bench, right? So that's going to be another interesting. Do you expect a little bit of turnover, or do you think the 11 that started Sunday will start as well on Thursday?
Well, it's hard to really think of what turnover there could be, because probably the main candidates to play would be Pellegrini, Pedro, but then Pedro's not going to take Zaccagni or Isaacsen out of the team, is he? So, I mean, it's good to see Vecino get a few more minutes as well, but again, like, Vecino's not going to play ahead of Basic or Guendouzi at the moment. So yeah, I doubt much will change. Maybe the fullbacks, there'll be a bit of change again there. But otherwise, no, I can't really foresee there being big changes. I did find it a bit surprising reading some of the newspapers before the game this weekend, suggesting Prosgaard might start at left back against Juventus. I was thinking, guys, calm down. Please, let's not do this.
Do you imagine him marking Yildiz? That would have been a disaster. But he was warming up at the end of the game.
He was.
So I was wondering if Sarri was thinking about switching to a 3-man defense, or maybe, I don't know, taking off Maruzic and play Prosgaard left back, which I thought would have been dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, he was asked about it and basically said he's good in the air. And, at the end of a game where we're trying to defend our box, having an extra, the extra centimeters helps. So, he could have come on there. The thing is, you don't want him exposed in those one-on-one situations out wide, do you?
No.
Or you don't want him doing too much on the ball. That Nuno Tavares style breaks up the left wing. I can't quite see that. Maybe there's another surprising player story about to unfold.
Yeah, we're gonna score next Thursday. Sorry, assist of Porosca, then Basic scoring a back heel. Right. Well, Alasdair, I think we can wrap it up here. We have to focus on Pisa Lazio. Very important game, especially for the table, because after these two tough games, 4 points are good. But if we can add 3 points on Thursday, we can really move the table, because I think Milan has two tough games going forward, Atalanta and Roma. So our opponents, well, I don't know if we can consider Milan our opponents, but big teams are starting to have important games, so we can recover a little bit in the table. We can get some point back in the table, which will be really good for us. So Pisa Lazio is going to be a very, very important game. We're going to be back after the game. Thanks, Alasdair. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Special thanks to our Patreon. Remember, patreon.com/Lazio Lounge. Membership starts at $2 a month. And we'll be back after Pisa Lazio. Very important game. Let's see if Basic scores again. Thanks, Alasdair.
Cheers.